Hey, what's up? I'm Stacy Paulson, and I am a mother of 6 amazing kids. I'm also an entrepreneur and former corporate professional. And I've been asked by a lot of people, like, what do you do, for the new year? How do you plan your year, and how have you made it effective? Because we're all kind of in that resolution mode, get excited about what can be possible for a new year. And we know, like, most people will set resolutions, and within a couple of weeks or so, they're kind of out the door. And when you come back to December and you look at your past year, oftentimes we're disappointed that the things that we set out to do, we didn't do. And so I want to share with you what I have been able to do over years of figuring this out for myself. What's more effective and what actually helps you to discover what it is that you really want and stay engaged in that and attract those things that you're wanting. And I believe it's really important to get mentoring and guidance from people who have done what it is that you're wanting to do. And so I just briefly want to share some of the successes and some of the things that I've created so you know where I'm coming from, so that this aligns with you. It's things that you're wanting to create in your own life or your business, that you can take these things that resonate with you and apply them, right? So I am an entrepreneur with a corporate background. So as corporate executive, ended up leaving that, starting my own business online, and then starting a business with doterra that has been phenomenal. So I make more in a month than I did in a year with my corporate job. I also have 6 kids, and family is really important to me, and I want to be that present parent. And so I've been able to create a family that we love each other. Yes, we have our challenges. We have sleepless nights with babies and sleepless nights with teenagers. Like, we've gone through lots of trials and challenges, but we have a loving family, and that I feel like I am a present and purposeful parent, yet making an impact not only in my home, but outside of my home. Been able to create a business, a multi-million-dollar business and global business with doterra. We have over 150,000 women and families who have been impacted with natural ways to take care of their health, who are taking responsibility for their health. And so I've been able to grow into this person that has been able to make an impact and influence people to live better lives. Been able to get out of debt. We paid off 2 homes. We have a vacation home. But what I want you to know is I did not grow up with privilege. I didn't grow up with skills. I didn't grow up like in a way that some, you might think, well, yeah, that's great for you. You have these skills or circumstances. And that's not really what it was. Grew up poor. We collected cans, aluminum cans along the freeway to earn enough money just to go swimming. Free school lunch. My parents, grandparents, none of them had ever been to college. I was the first one to go to college. So what I discovered is it's not really about, wishful thinking or resolutions, but it is being able to get clarity and have intention behind the life that you're creating. And really, if somebody has done it, it means it's possible. So if you know somebody else who has created the life that you're wanting to create, or overcome an obstacle or challenge that you're facing, somebody else has overcome that means that you can do that. And so I'm always really hopeful about the future. Have learned to be more positive versus pessimistic. And so I want to share with you kind of the behind the scenes, what it looks like for me as a mom, as an entrepreneur with a multi-million-dollar business. Like, what does it look like to do some planning? And this is not like big technical corporate spreadsheet stuff. This is just like the nuts and bolts of what I found has really worked for me and has worked for a lot of people. So let me just jump in with some of the things that you'll want as you're doing this planning. The first thing is that you want to schedule the time. So my husband actually took our 3 younger kids down to our vacation home in St. George and is spending time with them for a few days. I have 2 older ones that are here, but it has just given me the space for a couple days to just really map out, get clear on what it is that I want to do. So it's really important to be able to schedule it, be intentional about it, instead of just accepting a life of default, like whatever it brings. that you're just going to accept it and deal with it. That's not what we're talking about here. This is a way to really design the life that you want and be intentional about it, and to receive things that you want or better. That's what I found, is that oftentimes even better things come as we are intentional. So number one, schedule it. Number two, because I have found this super helpful, is I would have essential oils diffusing. And I will put a list of all these, but essential oils can help you to feel certain emotions, help you with clarity, can help with brain function, help let go of things, release emotions that might be holding you back and where you're feeling stuck. And so I always will have my diffuser, and I have oils that I love to diffuse. Some of them, let me see, I have a list here. Some of the ones that I use depending on, how I'm feeling. Peppermint and wild orange, my absolute favorite. Peppermint is amazing for that optimism and focus. And then wild orange is amazing for abundance, like just feeling like there's enough. I will have enough time. I will have enough income. I will have enough of whatever I need to support the things that I'm wanting. Another great one is called Citrus Bliss. It's a blend from doterra that it really helps you to feel creative and motivated. So if that's what you're wanting to feel as you are going into this planning session with yourself. Frankincense is another great one, which really helps create a spiritual connection. So if you're wanting like insight and guidance from God, from higher source, frankincense is a great oil to diffuse. Litsi comes from Taiwan. I love the smell of this oil, and it helps with inspiration and alignment, so that the things that you're deciding and mapping out for yourself for the coming year are in alignment with you and who you are and your desires. Spearmint is another great one. I love this. It's for clarity and confidence. Sometimes we look at setting goals or resolutions or whatever it is I'm trying to create, and maybe in the past you haven't been able to achieve those, and so often you're timid, not super courageous about the things that you want to do. Like you kind of lower your expectations because you don't want to be disappointed. So spearmint is a great one to bring in more of that confidence and also clarity. And then the last one I'll just mention is Roman chamomile, which is such a great oil for being purposeful and guided. So this one for me, especially as a parent, I want to be purposeful in the things that I do, how I use my time both in my work and in my family and extra things that I take on. I want to be very purposeful and intentional about those. So those are just some ideas. So make sure you schedule it out. Have some oils that are available for diffusing. You'll also want to have, I made a list somewhere, I don't know where it went, of some of the things to have on hand once you finally are going to sit down and do this. So I love having like pencils for sure, like the mechanical pencils, erasers, some things I'm just not certain about, so I'll do it in pencil because then I can erase it, change things out. But I also love nice pens and stuff. You don't have to have them, but they're kind of fun. Have a notebook. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Notebook, journal, just for some of the activities that I'm going to be sharing with you that I do. I'm trying to grab the other things that I have here. This is something that I've loved, and I'll talk a little bit more about this. This is from James Clear, Atomic Habits. If you haven't read that book, it's incredible, but this is kind of like a journal and habit creation, mapping out your life, and this has been life-changing. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Your computer, I don't know why I don't have that list somewhere, so annoying. And, sticky notes. I love these. Thank you, Natasha Hazlett from Unstoppable Influence, for these cute little sticky notes. So there's some different sizes to just jot down little things as they come up. And make sure you have like a calendar or a planner, physical something. So I just printed these out online, Pinterest it, because this wasn't my final product. This is like as I'm planning out the year. So I didn't want it in my planner, which is actually Trello. So I use Trello. I've gone digital. That's what I use. But for those who use a physical planner, which I love, but I've switched over, just know that you'll want to have that. Okay, so those are kind of the supplies. So schedule it. Now, the first thing that I recommend you doing is to reflect on the past year. And you can do this in many different ways. I don't spend a ton of time on it. I will just look over what I had wanted to create, what was on my list, and the things that I'll show you in a minute. So I review that and I celebrate the things that, like, that was awesome, or that was way better than expected. And some of the things that were on there, like, I discovered, well, I didn't really care about that. So I don't feel bad about not achieving it. I lost interest in it, that it really wasn't like a real strong desire. And so I don't feel bad about it. And then there's some things that I obviously wanted to change that I still want, but either they didn't work out like I expected. So I just need to be kind of like the scientist in my brain and look at, like, okay, well, what could I do differently? I don't have a whole lot of emotion attached to that. Like, it doesn't make me feel bad or that I'm a loser or anything. I just put on kind of my science hat and look at it from a scientific perspective. What could have gone better and what can I do in the future? And so that's what I do, but I do take just a short amount of time. And so I had this list, and there were a bunch of things that were crossed off because of COVID, because like they just weren't possible to do. And so I didn't feel bad about them. There was like really no way that could have occurred. And so, and then a lot of them just kind of slept off, that especially from the past year, got a little more introspective and a little more clarity on things that were really important. And I thought that was good. It was good that they were on there and that they weren't achieved because they really weren't that important. So I'll spend my time doing that. And then the third kind of like prep before I really dive in thing that I do is I just do a brain dump. I do a brain dump of all the things that I want, like for the year and beyond. Who I want to become, characteristics, whether that's like physical things that I want, feelings that I want to feel. How do I want to feel this year? And I just dump it all out with no holding back. And it just feels really good to get those things out there. Not that I'm going to go and do all of those things. Some of them, might seem kind of frivolous. I know a lot of people will put them on kind of your bucket list of things to do. That's awesome. I have a bucket list of things that I don't have an attachment. They're not like SMART goals where there's a date and a specific thing for that. But they are on there like, hey, someday I want to do this. Someday I want to do that. And as I do this reflection, some of those things are placed on my heart. Like, now's the time. We need to schedule it. Like, I really want to do this. I'm getting older. Like, I may need to do this. So that was the thing with last year. I wanted to run a marathon. I've always wanted to run a marathon. I love running, but have never done it. And I'm getting older and older and older and seeing like, it's not going to get any easier if I wait. So 2019, I planned to do it and was training and then got injured, which was super frustrating just probably a month or two before, and had to pull out. Super frustrating. And so I committed to 2020, whatever I needed to do physically to run this, I was going to do it. And so I was training, and it's never injury free when you're doing something big and bold, right? There's always going to be challenges. You just have to expect them, and they came again. But I had decided, like, it didn't matter what it was. I wasn't pulling out. And I was able to run that stinking marathon that I finally got to do. And it was a virtual marathon, but nonetheless, my son ran it with me. He was actually in Taiwan, got sent home from there because of COVID, and was home perfectly in time to run this marathon with me. First half, it was like in the rain, but finished, never stopped. I did not, even when kids were giving me water, I never stopped. I just kept going. So super huge win for 2020. But it's because of some of the things that I've implemented that I was able to achieve that. Okay, so you've done your brain dump. Oftentimes after I do that brain dump, I might just highlight like some of those that really stick out to me, that I just feel like those, like this is the year for that. And that I feel that I'm going to actually commit to. And there's not usually too many on there that I will do that. The others I will allow into my life. I'm open to receiving those things or those things happening. But usually there's only 2, maybe 3 things that I am fully 100% committed, that I feel like this is the time, this is the year that I'm going to do it. And so I'll circle those things. Okay, so now here's really where it gets fun and might be a little bit different than some of the things that you've done. And these have been really, really impactful for me. One of the things is from Unstoppable Influence. If you haven't seen that, you can Google it. Super fun place to really up-level who you are and what you want to do. And one of the assignments in that is to do this thing is called Without Limits. And so you just answer the question, who am I without limits? So if there were no limits at all, like, who are you? And I believe in God, and so I usually will say a prayer to receive like divine inspiration and insights of who I am. Stacy Paulson, who am I? Why am I uniquely me? And who am I without the limits that either I have placed on myself or others have placed on me, or maybe past experiences have made me believe are true about myself. And this is really insightful. You will probably get the most inspired document of your life by doing this. And so I challenge you to do this. If nothing else, just do this one thing. So I want to read to you what I wrote. It's not huge, and yours might be really long. There's no like right or wrong about this, but these are the words that came to me. It said, I am a daughter of heavenly parents who love me. I am a person with infinite capabilities. I am a person of strong faith. I'm a creator and lover of all things good. I am an inspiration. I am quick to take action. I am a learner and lover of truth. I am inspired by God. I am a warrior for good. I'm a disciple of Christ. I am fearless. I am a team player. I am humble and quick to forgive. I inspire millions of women who want to be impactful inside and outside their homes. I am a missionary. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I face challenges with hope and confidence. And I don't feel like those are like my words. I feel like those were some of the like inspired words, but they're specific for me. And so if you will take the time to do this for yourself, you will be enlightened with the things that come to you about why you are uniquely special and who you are without limits. Because this can give you the confidence then to move forward into the things that you're wanting to do or create. Okay, so the second thing that I like to do is to decide on a word, words, or phrases. I know a lot of people will just choose one word. I have a hard time just picking one. And sometimes I have a hard time just picking a word. And so that's why I've extended it to myself that it can be words, or phrases that I want to represent the year. And that should, like, all of my decisions should kind of align with that. And that if I'm doing something and it's just feeling a little bit off, I can go back to that word or those phrases and get back into alignment with that. And so for this year, what I chose was inspired action, fun, because oftentimes, like, I'm just a workhorse. I'll work, and fun, like, is not a big deal to me, but I want this year to be fun. And sometimes just work is fun for me. So, and then my third one is trust. And that was trusting God, but also trusting myself, that I know enough. I'm capable of learning the things that I don't know. And so just that word trust. So those were placed on my heart, which was interesting. I do a training in my business team, and I had listed my words for the year. And then one of my business partners listened to the replay, and she's like, "That's crazy. Those were my words." Like, okay, we're in alignment this year. Okay, so then that's what I want you to do, is to decide those words and write it down. So on my little document that I have hanging up that I get to look at every single day, review, remind myself, is I have the words up at the top, and then I have like, who am I without limits? Okay. Then the next thing that I would recommend you doing, I'm just kind of looking at my notes so I stay on track here, is to fill out what's called a universal claim form. And this is a concept, you might have heard of, like the law of attraction. It's kind of woo-woo. Some of you like totally believe in it. I believe in this whole idea of energy attracts energy. So, and you've maybe seen that in a room where somebody is just like low energy and you don't want to be around them, right? Or maybe you find yourself in that kind of low energy, depressed, complaining mode, and you seem to find others that want to complain with you. And so this whole idea of attracting the things that you want, if you're able to put it out there and you're at that energy level, that vibrational energy of whatever it is, that those things can come to you. And they're pretty amazing. And I've had some fun examples or stories of this. I remember back when I was starting my business with doterra, and I was not into network marketing. You know, I was like, a real business. I had my own business, came from corporate and network marketing, essential oils, doterra. That was like, kind of weird, not my thing. But I had some amazing experiences with essential oils that helped me with some of the challenges that I was facing that were being resolved by other means. And so for a year, I was using them, loving them, changing the way that I was taking care of my health, my family's health, and just loved it, like the empowerment that I had right in my home. And then I watched this business overview about doterra, and the timing, everything was just kind of in alignment, and I just felt it placed on my heart, like, this is something you're supposed to do. This is going to make a big impact, not just on me and my family, but on so many others. And I just felt super excited and guided in starting this new business. Had no idea how to do it. Was not a salesperson person. So I just remember just the feelings behind it and the excitement about it and what I wanted to create with this vehicle. And it was interesting, because of how I felt and what I wanted, and I was willing to put it out there and take the action, that some pretty incredible things started happening. People coming into my life that otherwise wouldn't have come into my life. I remember being inspired one day to go do a booth at this LA Fitness, and I had, 5 kids at the time. One was young, like baby, in a what is it? I can't even know it now. Yeah, in a car seat, right? And I was tired, not getting a lot of sleep, but I had put it out there. This is what I wanted to create. I wanted to help people. I wanted to create the income. I wanted the financial freedom, the flexibility, and growing myself as a person. And I just felt like I needed to go do this. And so I decided I'd just go set up the booth, leave a sign that I'd be back later when my husband was home to be with the kids, so that I could go over there by myself instead of with my kids, because I'd done booths before with my kids. And it was interesting because there were 2 very special people who saw that sign that day. Joel Epps and his wife is one that's on my team, and she has the same words, right? And then another Danny, who had been struggling with a loss of one of her children, and saw the words about emotional support, right, with essential oils, and was really drawn to that. They came back later that night, and we had some great conversations, and that brought in some very special people into my life as far as friendships, but also into my business, and has contributed like huge growth to my business because of these key people. And I feel like because it was in alignment, because I was putting it out there, I wanted to claim these certain things, that things were brought into my life that I could not have controlled. Like, I could not have done that. And oftentimes when those things that seem like coincidences come into our lives, I don't think that they're coincidences, and I don't necessarily believe in luck. So that is something that universal claim form is. Basically, you kind of did that brain dump, but now you're getting a little bit more, I wouldn't say realistic, but just in alignment with who you are and who you want to be and how you want to feel and the impact that you want to make in this world, and what your calling is that you start writing down the things that you want to claim. And there's no good or bad. You know, somebody might say, I want a Mercedes, and somebody else is like, I want to go save the world. Like, whatever that is. For you, you just write out those things that you want to claim. And I usually will put, and so this is my universal claim form. I will usually put let me grab this. And there's no limit to how many that are on there. Mine is on one page, but people I know that it's just like pages, that at some point they want to claim these things. So I usually will then segment them. What do I want to claim this year, right? And have those kind of at the top of it, and then have the additional things where there might not be a time limit, or maybe you're putting in the next 5 years or the next 10 years. I want to be debt free. I want to own my home. I want to travel to Europe. You know, maybe you're not setting the time right now. I know SMART goals are important, and you can get in the details of that. But I do see the power of putting it out there, right? So that's what this is. So for some of mine, 2021 meaningful work. Number 1, I want to assist at least 1,000 women and moms to transform their lives. Number 2, profitable challenge funnel that over delivers. I have a challenge, a 7-day essential oil experience for people that's free. You get free essential oils. You just pay for the shipping for those oils to come. And it's transformational. It's what changed my life, going from miscarriages, chronic sinus infections, migraines in my early 30s, having these health challenges that really helped transform my life. And they were just super simple things. And so you take these oils, you use them, you apply them, and you see how they impact your sleep, how they impact your pain if you're struggling with that, with your stress, with digestive, with metabolic support, you know, healthy weight management, so energy. So that's what I want to do. So I have these listed things that are important to me. Ability to run and bike. So I've injured my foot again. It's kind of this unknown thing. Doctors don't know. I've tried different things. And so that's on my list to claim, is to be back running and biking, celebrate and create memorable experiences with my family. Super important for 2021 is to have those things, birthdays, holidays, vacations that are planned out strategic. Go to Europe with my daughter who's graduating this year, and my mom. My mom's from Germany, and my daughter has taken German, so I want to have this. So these are things you're just going to put down on your claim form, and have that also available and up that you can see. So those are some of the things that I do. And then this is kind of the more action part of it. That have like, there's research behind it, but my research is my own personal experience with it and how these have worked really, really well. So the first one is to create a vision board. Many of you, maybe you've done a vision board, maybe you've never done one, but this has been super powerful, not just for me and my team, but for my kids. So almost every year, maybe not every year, but it depends on how good the mom is, that we'll just do a time during the New Year's to create vision boards. And I know there's some that get very sciencey about it, like how you should have it mapped out and not too much and what kind of pictures and things. It just causes too much heaviness for me, and so I do it my way. My way is that I just find the images that I want and I place them on there, and I don't like a lot of images because one of my strengths is focus, that I do really, really well if I just have one or two highly focused things that I can get so much done and at high levels, right? And other people, they love a bunch of different things, so do it your way. Mine, this time I have some pictures, a few words. Pictures usually are best because our minds think in visual pictures, and that whatever those pictures are should elicit some emotions, because there is such power with emotions and then the visual aspect of it, of a vision board, that can help bring those things to life. And what I love about this, and if you've read Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, one of the things that he talks about in being successful is that you do this spiritual creation first, meaning it's mapped out, it's blueprinted first. And if you're able to do that in visuals, right, in pictures, and then with those emotions, that then we can go and create the physical creation of that thing that we're wanting. And we also know how it feels when we achieve that thing. So visuals, whatever those are. So for me, there's certain things that these represent. So this picture, I don't know if you can see it very well, it's our family picture. Last time that we kind of beefed together for a couple of years, and we're all making goofy faces except for one of my daughters, but that goes along with my fun. How important activities are with my family that are fun and memorable. And I remember the feeling when we were there taking this picture. It was good. It wasn't like crazy. We did it ourselves with the tripod. It wasn't the photographer that was like, oh, get all dressed up and blah, blah, blah. It was not stressful. It was such a beautiful experience. So when I see this, that's what I want. That's what I want, right? Then this was me doing the virtual marathon. And my kids, they were amazing. My husband, they got up early and had little stop aid stations for me, food, were cheering me on. And that was such a good feeling. Like just the power of that, working really hard towards something that you've wanted for a long time and achieving it, and having family and people there to support you. So again, some of the things that are on my claim form really go along with that. Constant influence of the Holy Ghost. So really being guided in the actions that I take each day. That whether I'm doing a training, whether I'm doing a blog, whether I'm spending time in a certain way with my family, that I'm trying to follow those impressions and those promptings that I get. And that might be letting go of other things that I thought were priorities because I'm following those impressions. So that's another thing. So there's things on here that will visually remind me of what I'm wanting to create this year. And I look at it every single day. So I have it up in my office, and I'm going to make another copy so it's at my nightstand before I go to bed. Those are really important things that can be helpful for you to stay on task. Okay, the third thing, I'm going to just talk about 2 more things. Well, actually 3 more things. I told you I wanted to dive into this, and these have just been life-changing for me. I just want them to be a part of your life if they align with you. Take what resonates and let go of what doesn't. So the third thing is habifying. That's what I call it. I don't even know if it's a word. Habifying? So we have these things that we want to do. So for instance, maybe you want to lose weight. Let's just say you want to lose 10 pounds this year. You want to fit into those jeans. That's oftentimes what somebody might want, right? Instead of focusing so much on the thing that you're wanting, like the end result, now you kind of backtrack and you just start thinking about the habits that will help move you towards that. And that's all you have to worry about are the habits. You don't have to worry about the end goal, because you know that if you're saving 10% of your income every paycheck, that your savings is going to go up, right? Like you just know you're going to be working towards that goal of financial freedom or getting out of debt or saving up for that down payment towards something. So you're just focusing on that habit. I'm going to say 10%. And so you take those things that are really important to you, like those top 2, 3, maybe 4 things that are most important for you to achieve this coming year. And you're going to think about what just little habit can I create that will move me towards that. And if you haven't read The Slight Edge, that's a great book. It just talks about this whole idea of it's the small things that we do consistently over time that will create exponential results, like crazy results. It's like doubling a penny every day. If you were to double a penny every day, you'd have over $1 million in a year. And so it's just looking at what are the little small things that will make the biggest impact. And that's why bringing up, there's 2 books that are awesome. If you're into reading, I'm into reading, obviously you can see. Atomic Habits, James Clear, The Power of Habit. So it gets a little bit more in the science and the belief behind it, because if you believe something is true, then you will take different action. And what I want you to do is have the belief that our habits create our life. Our habits create our outcomes. So if we eat crappy every day, you know, our bodies become crappy over time. It might not be immediately, but you will start seeing those results. And so what I like about this, so James, he put out this little journal-y thing. I don't even know what that symbol stands for, but in the back of it, and you don't have to buy this, but it's like a habit tracker. And so you just put in like, what are the habits you're working on? And you don't have to have this all filled out. But this was back when I was training for the marathon. And so and other things, there were other goals on my claim form, all that. And so I just had created habits that would move me towards these certain things. So for instance, with the marathon, workout, run, stretch, cross train. And I had, I wanted to do it was like 5 times a week. And so, or 3 times a week at least, like that was my minimum, right? And so every day I just had to track it. And we found through science that we are more likely to do something that we track, you know, that we're going to be held accountable for. And then also, you know, tell your spouse what you're doing. This one, drink 2 water bottles. So I have this big water bottle. That was one of my habits that was moving me towards one of my goals. And that was it. It's not hard, but sometimes you forget unless you know you're tracking it. And then I don't really have to worry about everything else. I'm just worrying about drinking my water. And so every night, dude, that was one of those that had X's all the way across. There's not one day that I didn't do that. So I had to give myself a big, huge pat on the back. Nightly planning and review. So for me, my days go better if I have like a plan. I have a list of like, here's my top 3 priorities. I do so much better. And I found that I get like distracted and wander and get frustrated that I didn't do anything the whole day. Yet I was busy unless I planned. So that was one of the habits that I wanted to make sure that I was doing. And because I tracked it, you see like there's only 3 days in that month that I didn't do that nightly planning and review. And so that's where habits come in, like are the super powerful part of this. And they're little, they're easy to do, but because they're easy to do, they're also easy not to do. And you won't see like super negative consequences because you don't do it. So people who are successful learn to do that one thing. If nothing else, you will habify whatever it is you're trying to create. And then the last thing that I do, and kind of ending here, and then I have like a really cool thing, is that I start mapping it out, right? And I do it in pencil, so I'm not held onto it. And I try to do it, I do the whole year, like, especially for my business and then for like family events that I want to have scheduled in, I put them in, I calendar it. If you don't schedule it, it probably isn't going to happen. And so in my business, I have certain trainings and events that I want to create and do in certain months. And then with family, vacations and things, and I put like what season it is. Like, is this a hustle season, or is this a like refocus, rest season, personal development season, or month that I am giving myself, allowing myself that time to rest and be reflective. And so I do that, and I schedule it out into my calendar. And I usually will go by quarters, that each quarter I will really hone in on the things that I'm going to create for that next 90 days. Yeah, so that's kind of what I do. And then the last final thing is that, really seeking guidance through this whole process. That I believe we can be inspired in the things that we do, and they may be far greater than anything we thought was possible if we will be open to that type of inspiration. And for me, when I have that placed on my heart, that just brings me so much motivation. Like, I am so clear on what it is that I'm doing, and that I can do it because I've had it placed on my heart. And usually I've seen somebody else do it, so I know it's possible. But that's the behind the scenes of what I've been doing probably for the past 5 years, and for the past 10 to 15 years I've been kind of like figuring it out. And so for you, like, stick with the things you know are working. If something isn't working, it's working for someone else, but it's not for you. Maybe it's just not for you. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not that you discipline or something. I've had to really learn to trust myself. And so when something feels heavy for me, it's okay to say, well, that's great that it works for them, but I'm going to pass on this one and find something that aligns more with me. So those are the things that I do, kind of the deep dive. And I would love to know what your word or words or phrases are for 2021. You can go ahead and post those below this. I would love to see what those are, because it can also be so inspiring for other people. And hope you have a great New Year's.